What is up? It's your boy Johnny Shreve, IFBB Pro Mr. Tell like it is. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Uncut. Today I have a amazing guest, highly requested guest on today's episode of the podcast Uncut. We have Corey Hagman here, IFBB Pro. Let me just read a little bit so you can get her background. If you guys don't know her, which I'm assuming you guys probably do, but you will definitely know her after today. Competed since 2015, has done 15 shows total. She won her pro card at Junior USA's in 2021. And then her pro debut comes second. She's done 5 pro shows overall. She's a skilled videographer and photographer, currently in nursing school. She is a contest prep with an extensive background of supplementation, training, nutrition. If you are looking at getting in shape or getting on stage and getting it done the right way, the healthy way, the optimal way, make sure you guys go and follow Corey on Instagram at Corey Fit or Corey_fit.
Yep, that's it.
Fit. Yeah. So welcome. Thank you for coming on. I'm excited. We're going to get into it. We asked the audience, we asked the subscribers to give some questions. We want to get you guys involved. We find it's a lot more, fun that way when you get our guests to come on and just organically answer some questions and find out who these people you're following really are. So, how you feel?
Good. I'm so grateful, dude. Thank you for reaching out. And I mean, I'm really excited we're doing this. I've followed your channel for a long time. And I mean, back when Greg, before he was yelling that long ago. So
whoa.
It's been cool to see things evolving, even with your prep and stuff, being able to follow along with that and now connect with you in a different way. So I mean, I think people are really gonna like this. We got some amazing questions. I'm really pumped.
There's so many people out there that need to know the right way, the optimal way, the healthy way, and there's so few of us out there. So it's I think it's our duty to find each other, put each other on, get the news out, and get people to where they need to get to in the right way, right?
Yeah.
So, first question is from Mr. E. What's the scariest part about being an IFBB bikini pro? There's a bob and weave to all things. So, what's the downside?
So, I think with bikini, and this is kind of leading into other questions that we've received around, how do you judge bikini? And I mean, that is something I hear very commonly from, and it's a genuine question. It's not malicious. It's hey, all these girls look amazing. And especially when you're looking at the top competitors, you're how do you actually differentiate between, what physique is objectively the best? And I think, I don't even know if I want to call it a downside, but it is a reality. And I think it can be hard as a bikini competitor, but also as a fan. If you're a fan of bikini, it can be frustrating or just confusing to not really understand where the continuity is in the judging criteria. But as an athlete, what I can say is it's like life. I mean, it's not always fair. And I mean, I'm not saying fair as in insinuating corruption, because I don't think that's the case. But when it comes down to it, genetics do dictate bodybuilding, and you can be giving your absolute best and it might not be enough compared to someone who is genetically superior, and maybe they're not working as hard and maybe they still win. And I actually really enjoy, so it's, I don't know, maybe that says a lot about me, but I really enjoy that aspect of you aren't entitled to anything no matter how hard you work in the sport. And as a pro, it is so healthy to have that humbling experience. You can know that the person you're standing next to didn't work as hard, isn't as consistent, hasn't been doing it as long, and they're awarded, and you're I killed myself this prep. I did everything, I sacrificed, and it's a hand you were dealt. I mean, does it mean you don't give your best the next prep? No, you always you should always just set that bar for yourself to give yourself the best chance possible, because I mean, in that scenario, I mean, maybe you do catch someone slipping, maybe they don't show up on, or maybe they do enough wrong that the odds are kind of in your favor. But I think it can be really frustrating as a fan to try to get into the sport when you're it appears they're just picking people randomly, and it's not the case. It isn't like, I promise there's a craft to it, but I know it's very nuanced, which you could honestly say about all the divisions if if you really want to split hairs.
That it's that for me, like coaching, the beginning competitors is probably one of the most frustrating classes to coach, because it's I find like every class, bodybuilding is genetics 100%. It's like genetics rule. The guys can work hard, it's great, and you can do what you can with what you have, but if you have great genetics, you're gonna probably do well. I find bikinis even more to that. It's more obvious. Like if you're lucky enough to have great parents that gave you naturally small waist and really good overall glute med max at shape, insert, you're good to go. You're probably going to do really well, and if you work hard enough, you'll probably do even better. And if you work that much harder, you'll definitely become pro. Like I think for yourself, that is, that was going to be the inevitable ending anyway. You just have to work hard enough and have the mental capacity to be able to get through those. I would say that part being the downside of bikini, in a sense, for that person being like, it's so hard to really like, what are we looking for here? You know? But if you're good enough, you have the genetics and you work hard enough, you probably will make it. But then when you're at that level where you're at, you're standing on stage at one point with Jen Dory and Ashley Cotswater. Like, and then placing very well. So, and then that's just a sport. The next show you can do, you can end up placing what, third, fourth, fifth, and be like, what I do different. So, yeah, it's that's tough. Great answer.
I think, like you had touched on this earlier, like with crossing that threshold and like knowing like, hey, like I did this, I made this happen. And I think that's where you can probably relate to this as a coach as well. The mental coaching that goes in for the athlete and like preparing them to know that like just because you don't place technically higher than where you want to, we should all want to win. Like the whole like I don't want to win, like I don't really understand like competing that way. But with that being said, you can want to win and still be extremely process oriented. And like, I mean, that part I try to instill pretty heavily with my athletes is like, you should want first, but if you don't get it, do not let that take away from every win that you had during prep, because like they add up. And if you can easily just ignore that and be like, no, I did nothing this season, I actually took steps back based on placing. And it's like, I mean, that's like, not a great way to look at it, honestly, when you know you've made progress throughout the process.
Yeah, that's the part. That's a thing about bodybuilding that's different from other sports where you would play a season and each, like when I prep in my head, I would break my prep into actual weeks. So it would be like a 16-week prep would be a 16-week season for me. So every week would be a game for me. And like, how did I do each week, and did I win each week? And that was my thing. Some weeks, I didn't win in terms of like, yeah, I lost weight, but where was I mentally? I got beat up a little bit more this week or whatever, right? But it was like something I always would go back to, and I always remind my athletes the same thing: it's the stage is great in the end. That's the end goal. But we gotta like remember all the wins. You gotta win each week. Remember all that progress before that, because that's what's like when this is all said and done, and you think about everything in the end, it's gonna be like 10 minutes of memories, literally, right? So it's not just the stage; it's like all those days in the gym and all that work you done and whatnot. So yeah, it's you got to remember the go to win, but not like put everything on just the placing.
Yeah, be fair to yourself, and like I again like call yourself out on areas you didn't push it, like you weren't showing up there. I think that's important, but also before you get on stage, like for me it's always that moment like you're about to walk up the stairs and I'm like, hey, like I had so many opportunities to show up worse than I did today, and like this is why I did it, so that when I was like about to hit the stage, like when before the judges see you and you're just like, nah, like I did everything I could, so ultimately I can't change what happens. I can perform and like I can do my best, but like all the work's been done, and like this is the fun part now. It's like, I don't know, that evolution I think I think that's so important, especially when you get into the higher levels of competing. And I mean, especially for the male side of things, like it's a long buy-in. Like you're going to be doing this a long time if you are aspiring to reach the top. So you got to mentally be locked in.
Yeah. 100%.